everybody, welcome to the replay. Hey guys, welcome to the scope. Hope everybody's having a great afternoon. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to hop in. Oh, thanks for the hearts already. We're gonna have kind of a sciencey talk today, and I'm gonna try and make it as simple as possible, just because I know a lot of times science can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of background on me and a little bit of Periscope protocol for those who may be new to Periscope. Tapping on the screen gives hearts to the person that is doing the broadcast. That's important because if you like the content and you think that it's worthwhile, it lets other people know that this particular broadcaster does good work and should be featured instead of some of the other stuff that gets featured which may not be appropriate or beneficial. So tap that screen as long as you are enjoying what you're hearing. Second thing is, if you want to share this with members of your team or people that you know, swiping from left to right or from bottom to top allows you to share this with followers while it's live, or share a link after it's done. And you can comment at the bottom of the screen. So, my name is Kristen. I blog at TheEssentialFamily.com. I am an essential oil user and a little bit of a science junkie. So I do the reading so I can give the cliff notes to those of you who don't particularly enjoy doing the sciencey stuff. So let's just dig on in. Where's everybody joining us from today? I'm out here enjoying the nice weather on the back porch of my local coffee shop this afternoon. Oh, Connecticut, nice to see you. Welcome from Knox, Tennessee. Yes, Nerd Cred represent. So, Pittsburgh, hope everybody's getting ready to have a nice relaxing weekend. So, let's talk a little bit about essential oils. I know one of my biggest things that I struggled with when I first was introduced to the idea of essential oils was that it seemed like in all of the things I was reading, there wasn't a lot of scientific kind of a background as to how they interacted with your body to produce beneficial results. There seemed to be kind of this cloak of, I don't want to be downplaying anything, but there wasn't a perception of a lot of scientific credibility. It seemed more like a folk remedy kind of thing. And so for me, for my background, just so you know a little bit about me, I come from a very science-oriented background. My father, yes, it seemed very new agey and mystical and all that, which, you know, when I'm looking for health remedies, that's not really what I want. I want to have some hard, cold facts. So my father was in the medical field for his entire career and the entire time I was growing up. And so he just retired from that this year, but I was raised with a very scientific, proof and evidence-based mentality for anything that you would choose, especially in health. So for me, getting some scientific background was very, very critical for me to understand why essential oils may be an important part of my personal health and wellness regimen. So I decided to do a little bit of reading, and I decided that I'd just share it with you guys on a Periscope today. So let's talk a little bit about how exactly do essential oils work in the body, because we can get a kind of general idea on what they do, but how do they actually do it? So we know that when we use an essential oil that we experience certain benefits. So I don't need to go into what those benefits exactly are. If you've ever used a genuine essential oil, then you have experienced certain things that will happen in your body or in your response to certain circumstances that change based on your interaction with that oil. So how does that actually come about? Because it's one thing to know that it happens, but there's a different level of credibility when you understand how. So there's a couple of ways that essential oils interact with your body. The first is on a biochemical level, which is what we're going to talk about briefly today. That's where the compounds of the essential oil interact with portions of your body to give it a message that tells your body something specific that then sends the body off on a task to complete. Yes, there's actually quite a bit of peer-reviewed research on this subject. I encourage you to do research. If you're going to take notes, I'm going to give you some specific keywords that you can do to do your own research. Because of the fact that I'm affiliated with a company that I represent for essential oils, I'm not permitted to give you specific research articles, because the powers that be in the government believe that that is influencing you towards a decision. But I can tell you very, very strongly and assuredly that if you can go look for the information, you will find it. So the essential oils interact with the body on a biochemical level, and then they also interact with the body on a frequency level. And the frequency level is actually really interesting and does have a lot of scientific background, but we'll talk about how they interact on a frequency level in a different scope. So we're going to stick to the biochemical level on this. So to understand this, we need to kind of understand how the body sends messages to itself. There are three primary ways that the body tells itself that it needs to do something. The very first way that the body tells itself what to do is through the nervous system. The nervous system, and just keep in mind, this is going to be very, very grossly simplified. There's tons more detail to it, but for the purpose of this scope where we're trying to break it down and make it simple, I'm just going to kind of do it in broad strokes. So if any of you on here are super science nerds like me and you're like, well, but you're leaving out this, and this, yes, but we need to keep it somewhat simple, and we can fill in those later things as we get more in depth. So the nervous system governs, in general, just your basic non-voluntary responses to things. So you don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about having your heart beat. You don't have to think about pumping blood throughout your cardiovascular system. You don't have to think about making your cells uptake oxygen or making them do the things that they just do naturally. That's what your nervous system does. It does point-to-point communication using electrical impulses through your nervous system that tells from your brain to that cell, do this in response to that stimulus. So here's a good example. You're walking through the house at night to go check out a noise, and you step on a Lego that your child left on the floor. What happens? Immediately, your body gets a pain stimulus from your foot where you stepped on the Lego. You don't have to say, ow, that hurts, I need to move my foot away from it. Your body immediately registers that pain stimulus, pulls your foot up away from the thing causing it pain, and you didn't have to even think about it. Your body immediately did that action because of that non-voluntary or involuntary response to a stimulus that your nervous system did. The second way that your body sends messages is through your endocrine system, using your hormones. So things that are governed by your hormones are things like reproductive function, your digestive system, things like that, where your body has to respond to very specific and changing stimuli, like you ate food, now you need to digest it. How much sugar is in it? How much protein is in it? How much fat is in it? How much insulin do I need to release from the pancreas? How much do I need to, do X, Y, or Z in order to process that food to create energy, to provide nutrition, and to put it through the body? So that is governed by the endocrine system, and it does that by creating or sending messages using something called ligands. Ligands are the messenger of the body that is not electrical. It goes in and it takes messages from your endocrine system to your body. Like, for example, you're eating food, you need to release more insulin to help with the blood sugar modulation from eating the food. Your body sends a ligand to your pancreas to tell it what to do, how much insulin to secrete. Okay, so the next thing that happens is that your body receives that, and this is how it does it with this. They take the ligand. The ligand has a specific shape, and you can hear the train in the background. I hope you can still hear me. So a ligand has a specific shape that binds to what's called a receptor site. The receptor site is a specific shape to receive the specific message that's meant only for that part of the body. So you have tons of different ligands to send different messages to different parts of the body. So the next type of way that your body sends itself messages is from cell to cell, and that's called the cytokine system. That's where one cell in your body sends a message to another cell in your body without going through your endocrine system and without going through your nervous system. It's where cell A says, tell cell B this is happening, and they interact with one another so that you can have the correct response in your body. It also uses this thing called ligands to send that message, which is kind of like a key and a lock. It's the cell-to-cell communication that allows your body to function on little mini systems throughout the body without having to go through one central clearinghouse all the time. So let's talk a little bit about ligands, and I know that this seems like a lot of background to get to the question, which is how do essential oils actually impact the body, but I promise it's worth it. So ligands only fit into certain receptor sites. So let's say that your body is sending a message to your kidneys. It's going to have a specific shape, and let me show you. I drew a little picture for you, and I'm going to actually put this on the table and switch the camera so it's easier to see. Okay, so this is the cell receptor site. This site has a specific shape, and in this case I drew a square. And this ligand is carrying a message for this cell receptor site. Let's say it's in the kidney. It's saying you need to process, you need to secrete these hormones, and you need to do this particular process to remove waste from the bloodstream and secrete it into urine. So it's telling it what to do, and you can see that this ligand carrying the message for the kidney's cell receptor sites fits this key lock because the shape is the same. Now, there are ligands that are circulating in the body all of the time, and they have a variety of different shapes. So I drew this one, which it has kind of a triangular shape, and it will not fit into this cell receptor site, so it just goes on its merry way till it goes and finds the right cell receptor site to go and to fill. So that's how, when your body is sending a message to your kidneys, it doesn't just show up at your lungs instead and then just totally freak your body out. So you have ligands that will only fit into specific shaped cell receptor sites. So, camera back to talk to me. So that's why your body is able to do very specific and complicated tasks on its own just with that particular information. So this is why we just spent all that time talking about ligands. The ligands are the little keys that fit into the locks of your body to tell it what to do. Now here's the cool thing. Essential oils work similarly to ligands. How do they do that? Your body has all of these receptor sites. They have specific shapes of what particular ligand can go and insert itself into that particular cell receptor to tell it what to do, to give it a message. The wrong shapes do not go into those cell receptors and don't provide benefit. So what happens when you use an essential oil? So when you use an essential oil and it enters into your body has certain cell receptor sites that respond or are filled by essential oils. So how does that work? When an essential oil enters your body, it begins to seek out, and this is actually, to go back to give a little background, when ligands go into the body, they don't just circulate aimlessly in your body and then eventually bump into a receptor site that they fit. There is actual communication biochemically that allows the ligand to send out a message and then to receive a message back from the corresponding receptor site that it will fill, that guides that ligand to the receptor site that is supposed to be filled by it. Let me repeat that again. When the body secretes a ligand, when it sends a message to the receptor site, it sends a message like a homing beacon. Where is the receptor site I need to fill? That receptor site, if it is clear, will send a message, not even like a pathway, kind of like if you were in a submarine and you were looking for another submarine. You would send out a ping, and then when you sent out that ping and they pinged you back, you would know when you got that ping back, I've got a location. Okay, I'm going to close in on that location. So when those ligands get that ping back from a clear receptor site that they're going to go fill, that helps to guide them to that location. Now check this out. Natural things, which are living and alive, which living and alive are the same thing, but living substances that are able to function in that way will also send out a message to the receptor sites. Those receptor sites will say, come here, you can fill my receptor site, and it guides them into a receptor site that is open and receptive to it. Isn't that crazy? Can I get some thumbs up or something to let me know that this is helpful? I'd love to hear if I'm flying too high or if we're heading right in the right direction. Is everybody on board still, or have I put you all to sleep? So, awesome. Well, you'll want to check the replay out because we've covered a little ground that kind of explains a little bit, but thank you so much for joining. So, let's get back to the essential oils. When the essential oils enter your body, they send out that ping. What receptor site can we go and bind with? And the receptor site says, me, I want you to come here. It heads to that receptor site, and if it is clear, which we'll talk about in a second, it can bind with the receptor site and then begin to give a message to your body. Now check this out. This is one of those transformative truths that I think will help maybe explain a lot of why essential oils work differently than other types of remedies or other types of things we do to our body to make ourselves feel better. So the essential oils, yep, you got me. You are coming in and preempting a really cool point that's coming up. So I am so glad that you have mentioned that. Yes, essential oils do clear out receptor sites, but let's talk really quickly about this one part. Essential oils do not force your body to do anything. Let me say that again. They cannot force your body to do anything. Your body, check this out, your body was created to function perfectly. What happens is through whatever our environment or choices or things that we put into our body, on our body, around our body, we can disrupt the body's normal ability to function, but when we give it a clean slate, the body knows what to do to take care of itself. So check this out. When you put the essential oil on, in, or around your body, and it comes in and goes into a receptor site, it tells the receptor site, here's the message. Now go do what you're supposed to do. It gives your body a message, and your body then takes that message and then does what it already knows how to do, which is to revitalize, to restore, to rejuvenate your body, to normally turn over cells, to do all of the normal functions of the body to maintain health, to maintain the ability to be vital, to be able to maintain life. Your body knows how to do what it needs to do. It sometimes just needs to be reminded. And when you plug the right thing into the receptor site, it's like oh, by the way, just a reminder, here you go. And that's what happens, is it puts that message there. Now, essential oils are just like a key. You put it into the lock and you unlock the lock. When you have a locked door, essential oils on her face, sometimes it might be beneficial, depends on what you're looking for. Using essential oils on the body can be beneficial. You can put them on your face and it can be beneficial. I'm not sure of what specific reason she was doing that, but yeah, it can be beneficial to put oils on your face, just you'd have to have a good reason to do it. So when you put a key into the lock, you open a door. You didn't change the door, you just opened the door to allow it to bring things through, to function as a door. You unlocked the door's function. but the door functions on its own normally. So the essential oils are there to give your body that message. So, like was mentioned just a minute ago, essential oils also clean receptor sites. So you might ask yourself, well, why do receptor sites need to be cleaned? Shouldn't they just be open and ready to accept whatever message the body needs to send to itself? And the answer is yes, but going back to what I had mentioned before about the body can function perfectly. It's designed to function in a specific way, but things come in and change that from either choices or environmental stress, things that are around us, chemicals, things like that, yes, it's like How to Live Natural saying, it's like WD-40 to a squeaky hinge. The hinge is working just fine, it's not at its optimal, and the WD-40 goes in and loosens that up, or opens the lock, so to speak. So when you have things in your receptor sites, what are some things that might block a receptor site? Well, a couple of things. I'll give a really good example. Your body has perfect function when it's working as it's designed, but things like your thyroid, I'll give the thyroid as an example. Your thyroid needs iodine to be able to function properly. Well, on your thyroid, you have receptor sites for something, for iodine. Those receptor sites can be filled by things that are similarly shaped, almost the same shape as iodine. So here I'll give an example. Let me open hopefully to the right page for this so I can show you this on the periodic table, which I don't know about you, but I haven't seen this a whole lot since I left high school. But the periodic table is actually really helpful for explaining this, so hold on. Alright, so this is the periodic table of the elements, and so here on the periodic table is iodine, right here. If you are having thyroid concerns and you're not able to uptake enough iodine, a lot of times chlorine, see they're in the same row on the periodic table here, chlorine, which is found in almost all municipal water, can actually go in and clog the receptor sites in the thyroid that are meant to uptake iodine. So if you are drinking a lot of chlorinated water, or if you are bathing in chlorinated water, or showers where chlorine, and you're using hot water, chlorine can actually be vaporized into the air and you can breathe in chlorine taking a shower. So if you're using a lot of chlorinated water, you can actually fill the receptor sites in your thyroid that are meant to absorb iodine and cause your body to be unable to go in and be able to uptake iodine. So that's my example to explain that sometimes just things in our environment do have negative impacts on our body. So what happens to your body? If you are unable to have or bromine from diet sodas and white bread, like bromated flour. It's one of the processes they do when they process flour. Thank you for mentioning that, How to Live Natural. There is a lot of things. Basically, if it's in the same row on the periodic table, they're considered in a family, and they can cross-react with each other. So if your body needs iodine and you have a ton of chlorine in your environment, you could actually have filled your iodine receptor sites by having too much chlorine in your environment. So what typically happens then is when you don't get enough iodine, your thyroid begins to function improperly. And what the typical response to that is to go and force the thyroid, hey, behave thyroid, when the problem is, hey, I'm not getting enough iodine because my receptor sites are all clogged. So instead of going and clearing the receptor sites, we just force it to take more in that it can't even uptake. So that's why you know, when you're having situations, sometimes putting a, how do I explain this? When you put something in that forces your body to do something it's unable to do on its own, you're actually not solving the problem. You're actually forcing the body to have more stress to compensate for something that is as simple as trying to remove an antagonist to a normal thing. So When you use certain essential oils that are, and this is one thing that you should look up if you're interested in the science behind this, check out the science behind phenols. That's spelled P-H-E-N-O-L-S, phenols. Essential oils that are high in phenols are found to be able to clear receptor sites that are clogged. So when your body's receptor sites are clogged, that means, thank you for posting that, How to Live Natural. She's posted that up there, so if you need to screenshot that for later research, that's how it's spelled. Essential oils that are high in phenols are able to help the body to clear its receptor sites. So when it clears the receptor sites, it actually allows the body to breathe. It's kind of like if you put makeup on your face, your pores can't breathe until you remove the makeup. You might get some breathing, but when you wash your face, don't you feel so much better? It's almost like a breath of fresh air, because you're removing what is covering your body's ability to breathe. So when you clear receptor sites, your body is able to start receiving those messages that it's already sending to itself again. So you're not doing anything or healing your body by putting that product on you. You're allowing your body to give itself the messages it's already sending. So when you go and you use an essential oil that's high in phenols, it allows those receptor sites to be cleared so that they can start receiving those messages again, not only from your own body, but from other essential oils that are there to give your body messages about support and ways that it can function at its designed peak and at its own balance, the way it's designed to do. So, hope that I'm still got everybody with me. This will lead me to one last point, which is super, super important. What else clogs receptor sites? Well, we talked a little bit about how things like chlorine can clog iodine receptor sites, but check this out. When you are using things that are synthetic, whether it's a synthetically created pharmaceutical or synthetic topical products, like whether it's in like some body wash or laundry soap or just, sprays around your home, anytime you have things that are synthetically derived in your environment and they enter your body either through directly consuming, by applying them on your skin, by inhaling them in your environment, your body will take those, and because they're circulating in your cells, some of them will bind with receptor sites and block them. So when you're in an environment that is very full of synthetic products, your body cannot process them, and in some cases they will start to fill receptor sites. So because the body doesn't, it's like, think about this. When you have a key, have you ever gotten a key stuck in a lock that it didn't belong in? So let's say you have a key and you think, okay, this is the key to my house, I'm going to put it in. You get the key in the lock and you can't get it to turn, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, it's stuck. That's what that's like. And then you have to figure out, how the heck am I going to get this key out of the lock? So it's like a locksmith coming and helping you to remove that stuck key, which is the synthetic or the thing blocking your receptor site. So here's a good example. Let's say you have a synthetic compound like methyl salicylate. Methyl salicylate is a compound found in wintergreen essential oil. It's a naturally occurring compound. I'll give you a little chemistry background about it. When you have a chemical compound, every chemical compound has what are called isomers. So you could have the same number of carbons, hydrogens, and oxygens in it, but they could be arranged differently. Like, let's say you have 3 carbons here, and then some hydrogens and some oxygens, and then you can rearrange them in a bunch of different things, which are called isomers. So it's the same recipe, different arrangement. Kind of like one of the books I was reading gave this example. If you gave someone 6 green Legos, 5 blue Legos, and 9 yellow Legos, and said, here you go, put together something for me, it would be composed of the exact same number and size of those specific components, but they would be arranged in a unique arrangement based on what that person put it together like. So you can have a naturally occurring compound like methyl salicylate, which is in wintergreen essential oil and in birch essential oil, for example, and you can make that in a lab and make methyl salicylate synthetically. But check this out. It may have the same chemical formula, same amount of carbons, same amount of hydrogen, same amount of oxygens, but the arrangement of the molecule is completely different. So this is why it matters, because the arrangement of the natural methyl salicylate actually interacts with the cell's receptor sites. The arrangement of the synthetic methyl salicylate does not react in the same way with your cell receptor sites. So this is why when you are using a natural product, your body may respond differently than if you were using the exact same thing made synthetically. What does that mean for us as essential oil users? Let's say you are going to the store or you're buying your essential oils online and you know I need peppermint for its digestive support. And you know that there are certain compounds in that particular peppermint that are known to support normal digestive function. And you know that this will help to support that area of your body. Check this out. When you get the naturally occurring peppermint, it has a different key shape to fit your body's cell receptor sites than a synthetic version, which has the same compound but different arrangement, so your body does not fit that key into that same lock the same way. What does that mean? What did we talk about with synthetics before? If you have a completely pure, only from a plant, naturally not derived, but naturally extracted essential oil, it will behave differently in your body than an essential oil that maybe is mostly naturally derived, but maybe has a few little enhancements in it to enhance the flavor or enhance the aroma, because those sorts of things are typically done to increase the marketability of certain essential oils. What happens when you introduce a synthetic into the equation? It will change the way the body responds to the whole. So you could have something that is 99% from the plant, but if you add in 1% of something that then changes the overall function of that oil, your body will not have it fit. Think about it like this. When you cut a key and you go to the locksmith, they have to make sure every single tiny ridge of that key is exactly cut. If they are a millimeter off, that key will get stuck in your lock or it won't turn the lock at all. So keep in mind when you're putting that oil on, in, or around your body, if it is even the smallest bit synthetic, your body will not respond to it in the same way as it will to something that is from 100% non-tampered with, gently and purely extracted. That's why when I hear people talking about, well, you know, I'm just going to get my oil from X, Y, or Z place, I'm like, you could get a result, but you got to understand, it's kind of like this. If you're wanting to use something to enhance your body's ability to manage itself, why would you want to put in something that might make it not work as well? If your goal as a person is to provide health supporting messages to your body, and you know that there is a teeny tiny portion of this oil that might be working against that particular motive, then you have to ask yourself, is this tool worth using? And so for me, from that perspective, I have to know that when I'm choosing an essential oil, I have to know that that essential oil is 100% naturally derived. Check this out. This is a little thing that I learned recently, and I hope this will help you to know this. When you look at the U.S. governmental requirements for using the term natural, you want to know? I'm going to ask you a question, and hopefully you guys will respond. What is the criteria? What do you have to prove in order to use the word natural on a label? I'm going to wait a few seconds while you guys come up with this, because it's actually really, really shocking. It's actually worse than I even realized it was. The term natural, 5%, okay, that's a good guess. Nothing unless it's meat, that's another really good guess. I'm going to give a couple more seconds for people to chime in. It's actually worse than that. The color, nope. It's not even the percent, so check it out. When it comes to any product that's being marketed as natural, you can say natural flavorings, natural colorings, natural, as long as you could get that in nature, but it does not have to be natural. So check it out. If you wanted to label something as natural, all you have to do is prove that the substance you put in could be found in nature. Not necessarily in the chemical form that you put it in. Remember how we talked about isomers and how you can have methyl salicylate be natural from a plant, but have a different isomer configuration even though it's the same chemical formula? Yeah, it's that. According to the powers that be, in order to put the word natural on a product, it only has to have been possible to get that from nature. You don't even have to have it from a natural source for you to say it's natural in your product. It could be synthetically derived. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And you can go check that out. You can go and find out the qualifications for natural labeling. You can go look that up at the source. It's there. So keep that in mind. When you are looking at essential oils, if you're very health-minded, I highly encourage you, just like I said from the beginning, all of this information is completely, you can find all of this on your own. You can back up what I've said here today. You can find this information. And I encourage you, before you try to use an essential oil, thoroughly look into the background of how they make the oil. How involved are they in the process? Do they actually do any kind of scientific testing to determine if their essential oil has any synthetic additives to it? Because when you're buying from a broker, from a third party, if you're not personally distilling and growing, that happens a lot. And we'll do a separate scope about how often that happens and how it happens, because it's very common. And you have to be able to know that the company that you're buying your oils from has safety mechanisms in place to filter out anything that might come in that would contaminate, spike, alter, or change the oil to be anything other than 100% plant derived. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you enjoyed this scope, I appreciate all the hearts. Do some sharing with some friends you think could benefit from this information. And we'll talk more about the other ways that essential oils interact with the body. I think we're going to be doing one about how it interacts with the frequency. I will have this up in a article coming soon. You'll be able to have this information afterwards. If you want to have the replay of this available, follow me on Facebook, The Essential Family, and I will post my recording of this on there for you to be able to watch after the fact and to share with others. I'll do a scope on frequency probably next week. So that way we can kind of explain, because I'll be honest, when I first heard about the frequency of essential oils, it kind of sounded a little bit hokey pokey, but there's actually some really cool information behind it that we'll discuss. So if you guys have any questions, I'll take those now. Then we can, I'll go and enjoy the rest of our weekends after that. So was this beneficial? Did you guys feel like it helped? I'd like to, send me some love, some ones and thumbs up if you enjoyed this scope. I'd love to hear it and hear whatever questions you have. Well, I hope to see you on that scope for the frequency quiz. I'm very glad that you guys have been finding this helpful. It's one of those things that I think that it helps us as essential oil users to be able to speak intelligently to people, because the point of this is not for us to try and convince people of something that they don't want to be convinced of, but you are able to share things like this to help people understand why it would interact in the way that it does with the body and how the benefits actually happen. And I think most people, when you explain that, are much more willing to listen to your story about how you personally may have benefited from the oils. Yeah, I am well, thanks for that. I'm glad that the information about the periodic table was helpful, and we can talk more about this. I'd love if you have other specific sciencey type questions or topics you'd like to discuss. Go ahead and message me on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm The Essential Family on Facebook, and my Twitter handle is @TheEssentialFam. And for those of you who are joining me for the first time, go ahead and swipe left to right or up and down. And if you enjoyed this and want to catch the next scope, just hit add me by the name. Yes, and there are people for whom the science is absolutely going to be one of their most important deciding factors, and being able to explain it in a way that is fairly simple and easy to understand can be very helpful. Not only that for sharing with others, but for helping to build our own belief in it. So, The Essential Family on Facebook, thanks How to Live Natural, or @TheEssentialFam on Twitter. Well, thanks guys, and hope you have an amazing weekend. Catch you on the flip side next week when we're going to talk about frequency. Take care.